Having multiple streams of income has been on a lot of people's minds, but few know where to start.
Yeah, CEO of Wealth Assistance, Ryan Carroll, is here to share some great insights on this topic and how you can achieve your financial goals. Welcome in. We're so happy to have you in.
Thank you so much. It's great to be here.
Yes, absolutely. We love this. We're diving in. We're diving into summer. We're diving into a conversation about finances for sure.
Oh, yeah.
So let's talk about portfolios and what does it mean to have a diverse portfolio in the first place?
At the end of the day, having a portfolio means there's risk and there's no risk, and you want to have a balance of things that are going to have that long-term compounding effect and maybe things that produce more cash flow right now, right? Because people always say like, oh, if you put $5 away every day for 60 years, you know, that's going to compound into millions of dollars. But guess what? We also need money right now, right? So you have to have investments that produce cash flow so you can use that day to day. And so I think it's important when you have like an investment portfolio, you're playing both sides, the long term and the short term, right? Because we want to enjoy ourselves right now, and everyone always wants to push it off 40 years, but I also don't want to enjoy my money when I'm necessarily 67, you know what I mean? So, yeah.
And so how do you know which, I guess, investments perform the best or perform well?
To be honest, this is why I have financial advisors, you know what I mean, who tell me, hey, the real estate, the REITs, right, there's crypto, there's all sorts of things you can get into these days. I'm very biased on just kind of putting a majority of my eggs in the basket that I'm most familiar with, which is e-commerce. And I think a lot of people say like always, you know, spread your eggs into multiple baskets, which I totally understand, but I also like to bet on things that I really understand, right?
Yes.
And that's usually where you make the most money, is like when you really can understand a certain market. That's what I've learned from a lot of mentors of mine. So
it's super wise, and if you're so cutting edge that you understand e-commerce and you understand where the trends are going and what's hot, then it makes a lot of sense to invest there. A question, like in general, are we in an inflammatory environment? Because there's been, you know, some pretty concerning headlines recently, and we want to make sure that we're making the right investments for right now.
Of course. I never read the headlines, so couldn't even tell you.
Okay.
You know, see, I'm just always like, I just stay in my lane, and I'm like, you know, what I've found, especially like during the pandemic too, like the e-commerce industry blew up. I've been in e-commerce for like 7 years, and you know, obviously the pandemic was horrible, but at the same time it did amazing things for the e-com industry.
Totally.
And I guess we're blessed because of it. So again, I'm not really worried about that. I've seen the numbers. I've seen Amazon grow year after year, and so I think it's a really exciting time to kind of get into that e-commerce space.
Yeah, absolutely. So Ryan, what would you say are some key things that people should keep in mind when they're making those investments?
It all comes down to your goals, right? How much money do you want? How much money are you currently making that you can put aside comfortably? And again, like, are you trying to play more long-term, or are you trying to play more like, I need cash right now? Those are really the things that I would look over when I'm playing with different investments.
One of the ways we learn, you know, how to invest is by making major mistakes.
Oh, you can tell me, but you don't tell me twice.
Yes, they hurt. They're very painful. What are some of the most common mistakes that you've seen and that you just want to give people a heads up on?
Well, particularly in the e-commerce industry, I would say people think they can just go out there and maybe buy any product and it's just going to sell because they got it at, let's say you buy it at wholesale price and you're like, okay, well, I'm going to start selling this product.
Yeah.
It's not necessarily going to sell. You might have to run social media marketing.
The marketing.
Like, there's, you know, you have to be very strategic when it comes to like what products you're choosing. And I've seen a lot of people just kind of go throw it out there like, all right, I'm going to get into e-commerce. And then, like you said, they fail one time and then they're like, all right, I'm done. You know, and it's like, I've done that numerous times, but you start to really learn like, okay, this is what works and what doesn't, right?
Right,
Yeah.
Absolutely. Well, Ryan, thank you so much for coming in today and sharing some insight with us.
Yeah.
To learn more about how you can achieve your financial goals, just visit wealthassistance.com.
You can also visit them on their social media. Go on Facebook. The information right there on your screen.